In 2013, BMW Motorrad celebrated a milestone, and that is the 90-year anniversary. They did so by launching a bike, the model designated the BMW R90. Now, that is that original storm black one with lots of brushed aluminium on it, the original air and oil-cooled boxer motor, shaft drive, single-sided swing arm, spoked wheels, the Acropovics pipes as standard. And yes, I definitely had to have one in the Route 21 collection. I bought one. I reviewed her a couple of months back, and what a stunning bike with a stunning story. Now, customers quickly realized that that is the perfect canvas for customization. BMW also cottoned on to that, and over the last decade brought us different variations of the original BMW R90 in the form of the R90 Pure, the Heritage, the 719 option, and even the R90 Scrambler. Now, for me, the most beautiful, the sexiest bike in the R90 variations over the years was that BMW RnineT Racer. That harks back to the 70s superbike, the cafe racer scene, and in this iconic BMW motorsport colors. Now, what an iconic bike. Very sadly, a very short production run from 2017 to 2019, and then was discontinued. The BMW R90 story starts in 2013 when BMW celebrated their 90th anniversary. And this R90 Racer, this story starts in 2017. This was an evolution they came out with, and it's supposed to let you relive the era of those legendary superbikes of the 70s, you know, that retro romantic yet customizable. And you have the superb BMW build quality. Also with this old retro, you have the old school retro air and oil cooled boxer motor as per BMW over the 90 years. That half fairing, that bikini fairing, the striking BMW colors, immediately recognizable. And even the sound, if we go to that other side, the exhaust finished off. They got a really great sound out of this bike. This is the original pipe. How stunning is this bike finished off? If you have a look at those clip-on style feel look-alike handlebars, and really slim bike. If you look, it's quite wide in front with that boxer motor, but iconic BMW, and then you see how slim the bike gets towards the middle. Now, the design takes its inspiration from the motorsports in the 70s. The elongated long proportion promised speed. Even standing still here, it looks like it can go fast, this bike. The slim silhouette, like I showed you in the middle with a seat, the half type bubble bikini type fairing, the long wheelbase, long stance, the low slung handlebars like clip-ons, the low sporty seating, and on top of it, these footrests are high set and far back to really sit under your bum. So the whole look and feel of this bike is all about motorsport, speed and racer, as this one is known, the R90 Racer. Now, having a look at this motor in more detail, I mean, we really know this motor that's known as the Boxer 1200 air and oil cooled, to be precise 1170cc, oil and air cooled 4-stroke twin cylinder boxer because it's 180 degrees opposing the pistons. It's Euro 4 double overhead cam, 8-valve motor. This motor puts out 110 horsepower, which is 81 kilowatts at 7,550 RPM. Now again, torque figure is what excites me. 116 Newton meters at 6,000 RPM. Those of you who follow my channel know that I love the twins. This 116 Newton meters is magical. Final drive shaft to the back, and the weight of this bike is 220 kilograms, fully fueled, ready to go, full wet weight. Seat height 805. There is a lowering kit to make it 795, but 805 is perfect, comfortable, both feet flat on the ground, knees bent. Exhaust 2-into-1. If you see those two headers coming through and going, this is the standard exhaust. I'll start it up for you now. A stunning sound. Love the way they get these motors and these pipes to sound good nowadays. You don't really have to spend a lot of money aftermarket. I know BMW has an Akrapovic for it. Would love to hear that on this bike. Top speed on this bike claimed 140 mile per hour, 225 kilometers per hour. I've been on the road. 180 comes up really quickly. After that, a bit slower, but it climbs to 200 no problem. We'll play a little bit more now. Tank size 17 liters. Suspension, the front is old school. It's not upside down and it's non-adjustable, but more about that now. The rear suspension monoshock, and I love the way the coil is the same color as the bike. Wheels, you can see stunning 5-spoke design rims front and back, shod with a 120 in front, 180 at the rear, 17 inches. The ABS on this bike is standard. Optional on this bike would be ASC, which is your automatic stability control, your heated grips, and your LED indicators. This bike has heated grips fitted to it, which is one of the options. Now back to why was this bike discontinued only after a 3-year production run? Very sad to me. Now, the main reason most people claim was poor sales because of the uncomfortable seated position. Now if you're at the back here, you can see it's far. The rake to the front is quite far, and you have these really low handlebars. So that is the main reason. Now my Thruxton R that I have is also a cafe racer in disguise, but you have beautiful handlebar risers, and I know for this BMW heli bars have risers. So if you like this bike, why not just convert it to suit you? Raise the bars, bring them back a little bit. Stunning. But in this, guys, the biggest complaint was the uncomfortable seating position, but we'll go for a ride now. Another complaint was that the front forks were not upside down and were non-adjustable. Now to me, I don't know, this is an old school retro bike. It has the old oil and air cooled motor. It doesn't have the BMW inline 4s, so why not have the old school forks this way around, you know? Yes, do you need adjustable forks in front? Are you going to take this bike out to the racetrack and set lap times? I don't know. Everyone has different demands on a bike, so be that as may, I think that is maybe a little bit in depth. I think a valid point is the seated position, which we'll get on to now. On a final note, before we jump on and go for a ride on this bike, the color options available on this BMW RnineT Racer were the light white, emphasizing the BMW motorsport, the racing heritage and pedigree of BMW. This light white speaks to me, really traditional BMW colors. The other option available was the option 719 Black Storm Metallic Aurum. In short, what that is, a combination of black and yellow with some option 719 billet machine parts. When it comes to the competition or category it fits into, I would put it up against my Triumph Thruxton R that I had out, the green one, or today it would be the Thruxton RS. Really the same cafe racer style, also raked forward, clip-on handlebars, but people put on the handlebar risers, so it's a pity it was never pushed more with that. But on the other hand, being a bike that was limited in production run, only produced for 3 years, poor sales means there aren't that many available. Currently the second-hand market pricing is really good on a bike like this, and who knows, in the future with poor sales, very few out there, maybe unloved bike, this could be a future icon. Why not? Now I think before I get going, let me start her up quickly and you can hear her, and then we go for a ride. I think it's time getting onto this bike and reviewing her, riding her. Now, first thing first, getting on this bike. You can see feet flat, knees bent, feet flat, knees bent. This bike is really slim down the waist over here and comfortable from that point of view. Now, just firing up. This particular bike only has 2,935 kilometers on her, is one of the original 2017 launch models from the launch year of this racer, and off we go. Love the sound and the torque of this boxer motor. Feels like a really nimble little bike. I have to agree with the seating position. I am raked very far forward, and there's a lot of weight on my wrists in front. The sound is magnificent, and the boxer motor, I think that all goes hand in hand. Old school, retro, you need that boxer motor. Listen to this. A lot of torque. The more you open the throttle, the more it gets exciting, the more that happens. Whoa. Really got some go, this bike. It is an old school cafe racer, but it definitely has some grunt. It's not lazy, and you're sitting in a very sporty position. What I said earlier, your foot pegs, they're really far back and high, so they're under my bum, high up, which would give you quite a good handling around a track. Maybe this would be why guys would like to have upside down front forks, so they can really have a couple of track days around a racetrack with good feel. Brakes are powerful, two-finger braking up front, and the rear is also pretty powerful. And you really want to be an enemy to these sliders. You would want to have a quick shift on here, and speed climbs incredibly fast on this bike. Old school big motor, a lot of stock. Here's 200. Like I said, we're not even joined the highway. I don't know what is the speed limit on an on-ramp. It's crazy. You're in a very sporty crouch position. Nothing wrong with the speed on this bike. Absolutely nothing wrong. And the speed builds very quickly. As mentioned, the brakes, whoa, comfortable with them. Two-finger braking, rear brake strong. The bike does not feel like 220 kilos wet. It feels lighter. It is very nimble. Throw it around from left to right. It has a steering damper. If you look down, there is your steering damper, so it feels good, not loose up front. I must say that the thing I'm impressed about immediately is the motor, the sound of the motor, and the way the torque builds and pushes you forward. Any gear, there was fourth gear, 60 kilometers per hour, just roll it on and the speed builds. You don't have to chase gears in the gearbox. Here we go. Fantastic how this machine just runs. So in hindsight, maybe the guys were right. The capability of this machine requires more modern suspension for you to really get the maximum out of a bike like this. If this chassis and motor wasn't so competent, I would say yes, old school suspension would work. But yeah, for my height, I would say longer journeys would be a little bit painful on the lower back and wrists, but for a sporty track day, couple of fast laps, this is a perfect little toy. Definitely not as comfortable as my Triumph Thruxton R, but again, as I said, I have the handlebar risers, and if I could get up here 50mm higher back, I would be comfortable. The build quality of BMW is also something else. Really fantastic. You can feel this bike. It's brand new. Okay, it doesn't have many kilometers on it, but typical BMW. Let's go around the outside. Thank you, sir. Not much to say, but a whole lot of fun. That motor just pushes you forward. 200 comes up very quickly. Clocks are old school analog, both sides. A little bit of LCD display telling you what gear you're in, the date, and miles, kilometer, odo. It's not something you look at speeds, but the RPM and speed, old school, very visible, very quickly. Look at this bike. Is this not stunning? As you roll on top gear, it just gives you more. Handling on this bike is superb, braking is superb, sound, motor, the torque, the push, all fantastic. The one thing, a little bit too extreme on the riding position. It is definitely, the riding position is for track days. There I would give it a 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Just want to move the weight out onto the knee both sides and feel good, look good. But for everyday road use, commuting, a little bit too extreme. I think BMW should have maybe thrown those handlebar risers in as standard, so as you pick it up from BMW, you set it up for yourself how you would want it. Compression with this boxer motor for braking is stunning as well. Sound is good, engine braking good. I must say these BMW boxer motors are legendary as well as iconic. Yeah, this bike definitely needs quick shifter and better front suspension, and then you have a track weapon you can have a blast with. So it's a bit in between. For poser bike, cafe racer, seating position too extreme, not comfortable enough. For track day weapon, looks there, seating position there, tech is just a little bit shy, and it's purely on front suspension. The brakes are ample good enough, motors ample good enough, it's all there. So which one is it? Is it an everyday bike or is it a track weapon? Having a look at this bike, beautiful in these colors, it pops in the sunshine. It's just a magnificent bike, lovely to ride, and sound is good. The pull on the bike, the torque, it's got that quirkiness. As you blip the throttle, it wants to bounce over to the right. Here we go, I'll blip the throttle, you see it rock over to the right. It's retro, it's romantic, harks back to the old days. It's got that rawness about it. The motor has vibrations, the sound is raw of the exhaust, and as you want it. These cafe racers are not supposed to be too far refined. Now as a BMW, the build quality is totally refined, but here pulling off the vibrations, the sound, it's all perfect balance of rawness and enough power to excite. The more you open the throttle, the more this beast comes alive. Here you go, docile, and then as you open, she builds speed. Why wouldn't this be fun with a quick shifter? So all round, it's got everything. It's got everything. It just has that identity crisis of, does it belong on the track? Yes, upgrade the tech on a quick shifter and front suspension, or is it a everyday bike for commuting, super cool cafe racer, retro look? Yes, then make it a little bit more comfortable. These handlebars are really low, so going forward like this, the weight is on my wrists and my lower back. So other than that, I love this bike. I absolutely am in love with this bike. Now again, a brain teaser at the end, and those of you who follow me on my channel, you know I like those unicorn bikes, the seldomly seen bikes, the bikes with a story behind them and a purpose, maybe collector and investment bikes. Now a bike like this, beautiful, iconic from the R90, a variant of the R90, the cafe racer, the old school BMW boxer motor and oil cooled, the iconic BMW Motorsport colors, that white with the BMW colors down the side. I think iconic bike. Now on top of it, maybe good, maybe bad, that it had such a short lifespan of only 3 years. That means poor sales, 3 years production, there are very few around, and how many will survive in 10 years from now? So second-hand market, you can pick them up quite cheap. And what are you looking at in 10 years? Is it a rarity? I would say it's a future icon. It's something that people will love to see. It's eye candy, and who knows, maybe it'll gain in value. I hope you enjoyed this episode with me on this BMW RnineT Racer. What an iconic bike, sadly very short lifespan, but still eye candy to look at, and whenever you see one you will rubberneck, I promise you that. I hope you enjoyed this episode with me. If you did, please remember, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and most important of all, hit that subscribe button to help me build the channel. And if you like, that reminder bell so you always know when I'm uploading new content.